As you know, I love to doodle, but sometimes doodling takes a really long time, so I figured out a way to make doodling easy. So as you'll recall, I showed you this art journal layout where there was a lot of doodling, and what I did is I simply took a marker and copied those doodles, so it's like do the work once and then you get it forever. So then I scanned it into the machine, and I want to show you just a second how that works. So I'm going over to my electronic die cutter, and you can see I've already scanned this in, and I'm going to choose the second kind of scanning. That's going to give me all the little pieces that I need. I'm going to drag everything in so I get a nice tight little bit on there, and then I'm going to choose to make the margins on it really small so that it really gets all that wonky hand-drawn stuff. I'm going to save it to the machine, and then there you go, save it to the machine. It's going to save the file for me, and then I'm going to be ready to cut. So I'm simply going to take out the piece that I've scanned, and I have a black piece of cardstock already stuck down to my cutting mat. So I'm going to go ahead and feed that into the machine. I'm going to press the home button, which looks like a little bit of a house, and I'm going to go right back to my first screen. I'm going to choose a pattern, some of my saved data. It's what I've saved in the machine, and I know that it's number 61 because the machine told me that. So there it is. I'm going to hit OK. I made sure that my blade is at a 5, which is the right level to cut this. I'm going to say OK, and I'm going to go ahead and choose Cut and start it off. So while that machine's cutting, let's talk about what we're actually doing. So here you can see that I have cut out a whole bunch of these doodles from some red cardstock. But then I got a kind of brilliant idea, and I thought, what if I cut it out of black cardstock, which is kind of like the black lines that you see here. And then I placed some patterned paper behind. And as you can see, here's a black outline, and if you place it right over that patterned paper, it kind of looks like I watercolored it, which is really neat. But here's another tip. When I scanned the first time, the second scan I did was also for an outline. So as you can see from my pattern paper, I was able to cut out exactly those wonky shapes so the paper matches exactly. I was even able to scan in the paper, see it, and choose exactly which portions of the paper we're going to cut. Now, perhaps you're worried that you are not going to be able to glue this onto here because it's so delicate. What I found is that a glue pen very easily fills in those little lines. It's just got that tiny ballpoint tip pen. You would, of course, do the whole thing, and then you can easily place it down for perfect placement, and it sticks completely, and it looks so good. So it sounds like the cutter's done, so why don't we go back over there and see what we've got. So I'm going to press the release button to release the sheet, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull up the big cardstock here, and you can see now that I'm left with this. Now this mat is sticky, so you want to make sure that you just go very carefully and pull it up, so because you don't want to tear it. It is delicate. Here you go. Ooh, that looks pretty amazing. It's a doodle that's now sort of 3D. So I'm going to take it back to my workspace. And as I mentioned, one of the things that I did is I cut exactly matching piece of pattern paper. So I can simply place it right down on top of it. I kind of think that this looks like a kite, actually, doesn't it? All it needs is a little tail and you're ready to sail away, right? So I could think this is a great idea for using in your art journal, on the front of a card, certainly as embellishments for a scrapbook page. I want to give you one little design tip though, which is one thing that you'll notice all these doodles have in common. The first thing for the best result is that they all touch everywhere. Because remember, it has to come away as a single piece. The other thing that I want to mention is that I used a very heavy black marker and I didn't draw these too close to each other. That allows the machine to do its best ability to scan and capture every little detail so that you really get a good result. And again, don't worry about having to come up with new ideas. Simply take something you've already done, such as these doodles that you see right here, and go ahead and use them for something else. Multi-purposing, doing twice as much with half the amount as work.